Shri Jnaneshwari. Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Shri Saraswatyai Namaha. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Shri Gopala Krishnaya Namaha. Chapter 6, Dhyana Yoga continued. Shloka number 6. The mind is a friend to him who has controlled it by himself. But for one who has not mastered his mind, this very mind becomes hostile like a foe. When a person renounces his ego through reflection, he becomes the existent Brahman and attains the supreme good. But he who regards the dead body as the self becomes his own enemy like the silkworm. This is just like a luckless person who, feeling like a blind man, shuts his eyes when prosperity is at the corner, or like a person who out of delusion looks upon himself to be lost and remains under this mistaken fantasy all the time. Otherwise, the embodied self is Brahman itself, but he does not realize this truth. Do you think that one can really die of wounds inflicted in a dream? It is like the parrot that sits on a pipe hung from a tree, and when it starts moving fast, he does not fly away, but grips it out of fear. It then aimlessly turns its neck around, draws in its legs close to the heart, and remains holding the pipe firmly in its beak. It falls into the trap under the mistaken notion that it is bound, and its legs, although free, get entangled more and more in the pipe. Even if it were to cut in the middle, it would not let go of the pipe. When it is caught like this needlessly, can one say that somebody has bound it to the pipe? Likewise, he who increases his desires becomes his own enemy. Therefore, O friends, he alone is enlightened who does not falsely regard himself as bound. 7. Of him who has subdued his mind and is tranquil, his higher embodied self becomes poised in heat and cold, pleasure and pain, and also in honor and dishonor. 8. He who is satisfied with wisdom and knowledge, who has steadily subdued his senses, who regards a clod, a stone, and a gold bar the same, that yogi is said to be absorbed in yoga. To him who has subdued his mind and stilled his desires, the Supreme Self is not distant as to others. As with the separation of base or metal, gold becomes pure, so in the absence of desire, the embodied self becomes one with Brahman. When the pot is destroyed, the space therein does not have to go to another place to merge with the Akash. So when the ego is destroyed root and branch, the embodied self remains in this pristine, all-pervasive form. Then the sensations of cold and heat, or thoughts of pleasure and pain, or words of praise and blame do not affect him. Wherever the sun moves, all the paths are lighted. So he regards all things which he sees as non-different from him. When the clouds send showers, they do not break the sea. Likewise, the good and bad deeds do not affect the yogi. When he reflects on worldly knowledge, he realizes its inadequacy. And when he seeks wisdom, he apprehends that he himself is that. Then he begins to ponder over whether he is all-pervasive or limited. But all such speculation stops when dualistic thought ceases. When a person conquering his senses, even while in the body, has measured up to the level of the Supreme Self and does not entertain such distinctions as small and great, in short, when he has subdued his senses, he becomes endowed with yoga. He treats equally the Meru mountain of pure gold and clod of earth, and is so indifferent to the world that he regards a precious jewel of greater worth than the earth as nothing better than a stone. 9. He excels who has equal consideration for well-wishers, friends, foes, and the neutral, for meditators, for hateful men and relations, and for good men and sinners too. then how will he believe in the strange distinction between an ally and an enemy, an indifferent person and a friend? When he realizes that he is one with the world, then who is brother and who is enemy? How can he view anything as pretty or grand? How can the touch of the philosopher's stone produce different qualities of gold? Just as it will produce only pure gold, his intellect will find unity in animate and inanimate things. Even as different ornaments are fashioned out of gold, all worldly things having different shapes have emerged from Brahman. When this full knowledge is attained by him, he is not deceived by the diversity of creation. Just as a close look shows that cloth is made of yarn, he perceives nothing but Brahman in this world. He attains equanimity when he reaches this conviction on the basis of experience, which is true knowledge. His words enliven religion, his mere glance produces miraculous powers, and heavenly pleasures, etc., are mere toys which he can gift away. A person who remembers him by chance receives this capability from him. In short, to praise and honor him confers great benefit. With this, we complete part 2 of chapter 6. Om Shri Krishna Arpanamastu. Hari Om.